adventuring knights of King Arthur. Even King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. That round table represented the zodiac. Isn't that fascinating? The 12 labors of Hercules as he went through each constellation of the zodiac. Fascinating stuff, isn't it? Each of the episodes in these sagas were located in one of the 12 tribe divisions of the countries. It's the same thing with music. The native songs were encoded within a 12-section chant reproducing the music of the spheres. That's a fascinating tie-in there. Each chant was attached to one of the 12 tribes and their particular region. So in every possible way, from their astrological social order to the maintenance of their perpetual cycle of myth and music throughout the year, the inhabitants of a country were placed in harmony with the celestial realm and with the rhythms of nature. And he goes on, and then he talks about the legends of the quest of the Grail and other talismans of divine rules, and there's always 12 participants. The followers of Odysseus, like those of King Arthur, were 12 in number. Charlemagne's mystical court consisted of 12 peers who reclined on 12 beds around his magnificent couch. And that reminds us, that's how Noah is described in Abinadi's trial. He was reclining on the couch with his judges. Same principle. 12 principal warriors, the 12 kings of Orkney under King Lot, the King Rolf of Denmark and his 12 berserkers are in Scandinavian legend. There's 12 Rosicrucian adepts. The Knights Templar, founded in the 12th century, safeguarded the pilgrims to the Holy Land. They constituted the traditional 12-fold pattern. And it goes on and on and on. It's interesting that either through, whether we approach this through the esoteric tradition or spontaneously, significant groups of 12 recur in all ages. Many countries attribute their Christian conversions to a party of 12 missionaries, through the 13th of a leader, exactly as Jesus and the 12 apostles, in both the Bible and Jesus and the 12 apostles he chose when he came to visit the Book of Mormon peoples. This 12 is begun and put into our consciousnesses from the very first chapter in the Book of Mormon, in Lehi's vision. I think it's fascinating. Anyway, he goes on and on and on. Oh, he talks about the supremacy of the number 12 is challenged only by the number 7, and he shows the various connections with the number 12 as a number of form and structure, and 7 is the number of the spirit. So we hear of the 7 mountains in the sacred landscape, 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 metals of alchemy, 7 chakras of the subtle body, 7 heavens, planes of consciousness, ages, archangels, candlesticks. We have 7 pillars of wisdom, 7 gifts of the spirits, virtues, vices, veils of mysteries, and many other 7-fold aspects of spiritual creation. At the head of all of these, of course, are the 7 planets. Now, it's interesting that the Book of Mormon itself also ties into this number 7, with the 7 tribes. I believe they're Lamanites, Nephites, Zoramites, Ishmaelites. I'll get to that. I've got that study by Jack Welch again. So the Book of Mormon taps into this number 12 as well as the number 7. And it begins in our very first chapter. He goes on. This book, he talks about, I've underlined just lots of it. Polynesia, talks about the zodiac wheels in ancient landscapes, Stonehenge and Avebury, and the various types of art, the chronology, the chronography of the nations, and then, of course, he wraps it up with the 12 tribes of Israel and the sacred geography of the Holy Land, and he's got a lot of interesting art ideas here. It's about a 220-page book. If you can get this, it's just been brand new reprinted. I just got mine last week. If you can get this, get it. It's fabulous. It's really interesting. But I want to share with you yet again another feature, another angle of this from Brant Gardner in his commentary, and he caught something very, very well. I'm very impressed with Brant Gardner's insights and ideas. Okay, I've got Brant's commentary. This is going to take a little bit of doing because he really extensively, let me see if I can step into the sunlight here. He really extensively deals well with this particular subject. the pillar of fire dwelling on the rock in front of Lehi. He discusses this. He says it caused him as a prophet to quake and tremble exceedingly, and he overcame him, and he went and laid on his bed. Now, in response to his prayer, he receives a revelation, recorded with tantalizing brevity, unfortunately, and it is. The fact, however, is that he saw a pillar of fire. Now, this is an unmistakable allusion to Yahweh's guiding the Israelites of the Exodus by means of a pillar of fire. Of course, that's the idea. It designs our minds to thinking about the Exodus, where God dwelt with a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of smoke by day, guiding the Israelites through the wilderness. This same theme of a pillar of fire with Lehi is very interesting. And then he was overcome by the Spirit, he was carried away in a vision, and he saw his throne surrounded by numerous concourses of angels. In contrast to Lehi's first vision, the record reports at least some details of his second, as well as notes all the elements of this vision. Now, this is Lehi's vision. When we explore the elements of this vision, they fall into a general pattern typical of a prophet's calling. In many texts from the ancient Near East, God is visualized as presiding over and working with his counsel. And this is Gardner in his first volume in his book Second Witness, his commentary on page 69 and 70 and 71. God governs the world by delivering his decrees through the council. That's how God works. These decrees are typically issued to messengers or prophets who deliver the message to the people, of course. The genre of prophetic callings into which Lehi falls is a throne theophany. And what this means, well, it relies on imagery drawn from the pre-Reform Israel religion, not the Deuteronomic history. The Deuteronomist history got rid of the Council of the Gods, or tried to, even though we now have found vestiges of it in ancient Israel all over the place, and in the Old Testament record. And the biblical scholarship is huge on this. Michael Heiser's doctoral dissertation, that I've made several videos on, talk about that. Blake Ostler has analyzed this idea of Lehi's vision in the context of subgenres of throne theophanies, biblical and pseudepigraphical. Here is Ostler's analysis, which is extremely interesting. This is out of his The Throne Theophany and the Prophetic Commission in 1 Nephi, a form critical analysis. This is out of the BYU Studies in 1986. The account of Lehi's throne theophany and prophetic commission is very closely related to Ezekiel's account in the Formsgeschichte, or the historical development of the literary pattern. So the Book of Mormon is fitting this particular type of pattern of prophetic calling. It's very interesting how that works. This is inherited. This is because Lehi's account exhibits elements of the pattern unique to the pseudepigraphic works. Because it exhibits the pattern unique to pseudepigraphical works, it must be considered a part of the line of development inherited from the Hebrew Theophany Commission, patterned quite independently of Ezekiel's inaugural vision. So, Nephi and Ezekiel exhibit a number of characteristics in the throne theophany. The formal elements are the historical introduction, a divine confrontation, a throne theophany, that is a vision of the throne. Theophany means throne. A heavenly book, a kedusha, that is angelic praise or songs of praise, a commission of the prophet, a rejection by his people, and a reassurance and a promise of deliverance. These are the ideas. These elements are unique to the pseudepigraphica, and the first Nephi account is an intercessory prayer, a revelation received on the prophet's bed or couch, an ascension into heaven, a vision of one descending from the heavenly council followed by 12 others, and a prophecy of the coming Messiah and redemption of the world. So we have similarities of the same type of literary analysis that is found in the ancient Near East in the Book of Mormon, the first chapter. There is so much going on here that's beneath the surface. When we flesh this out, it becomes incredible.